You may be wondering, Seth, you do cryptocurrency and mining content. What are you doing at an outdoor range with so many guns? Sometimes mining equipment doesn't work the way you want it to. Sometimes it just flat out fails. And when that happens, it's good for one thing only. Hey guys, how's it going? Seth Estrada here. I'm gonna take my ear pro off because we're not shooting right here. I'm gonna throw my eyes back on because it's really bright out. But these are the calibers that we're shooting. We got some rifle calibers and we've got some pistol calibers. We've also got a couple of different kinds of 12 gauge shot that we're gonna use on our targets. Let's start with the pistol calibers. 9mm. Either you like 9mm
or you're wrong.
Because 9mm gives you a lot of capacity, really good bang for the buck. We're planking with really cheap, got a box of it over here, just Federal, 115 grain. This is literally a value box. You get a lot of it for just a little bit of coin. By that same token, that 9mm is such a great round to train with and to have fun with. It's inexpensive. And if you can train and have fun with it and be good with it, then it's gonna be a way better option for personal defense down the line, in my opinion. Again, am I qualified to talk to you about anything? Probably not, but disclaimer, this is not legal, financial, business, or even self-defense advice. This is just my opinion. We're just out at the range having fun. But shooting 9mm, FMJ, full metal jacket for anybody who's not initiated. That means that the front of the bullet right here is coated in a little copper jacket. That's all that FMJ means. It's not fancy. In fact, sometimes ballistic quality of the cartridge that you're using is decreased by using full metal jackets. So when you see movies called full metal jacket, it's not really meant to mean anything too tricky. But that's the only pistol caliber that we're using. We are going to use a pistol caliber carbine, long barrel, but it still uses the 9mm. So kind of increases the accuracy, makes it a lot more comfortable to hold for longer periods of time, and yeah, will give us a little more opportunity to put more bullets on target. Might say that too many times? Well, get used to it because it's a lot of fun to say it that way. We're going to use some rifle calibers, but in a pistol form factor, 5.56. Technically, the ammo we're using today is the 223 Remington. They're functionally compatible, right, in most firearm systems, but also really inexpensive. I just picked up another box of the Federal stuff because we got the lowest dollar or cents per round price on the Federal brand 5.56. So we're gonna put this through a pistol and also put it through a rifle. 7.62 by 39. You may know this as the round that the AK-47 uses. That's where it's most popularly used. We're gonna use a pistol form factor 7.62 by 39. It's not based on the AK platform. We'll go through that in a minute here, but we're gonna put this through technically a pistol. That'll be fun. And then we're gonna put an interesting caliber through a rifle as well. Looks really similar to that 7.62 by 39, but you'll notice the bullet size is just a little bit more narrow. This is the 6.5 Grendel, and the 6.5 Grendel uses, as you can tell, pretty much the same casing as the 7.62 by 39, but the bullet itself is 6.5mm wide. So that gives it some interesting ballistic characteristics. So we're gonna put this through a couple of targets. Hopefully we have some of the targets that I wanted to bring to the range today still intact by the time we get around to using this. But it's a really fun round to shoot and really great for plinking at the distance that we've got our targets set up. So we got a couple different kinds of 12 gauge shot that we're using. We're using double-aught buck, which is fun. And then we've got some sport loads here. These are gonna help us preserve the integrity of some of our targets before they're totally blown to smithereens, because we wanna prolong the fun a little bit. But these are great for shooting clay pigeons, if you're not familiar. This is kind of more something you would point at any kind of a target that you want to immediately destroy that has a little more mass. So yeah, that double-aught buck, it's a little heavier duty for a heavier job. And we're gonna put this through maybe a couple of targets as well, but we're gonna wind up going through a couple boxes of this and some variants of this sport load here, both the 1 ounce and the 1.8 ounce, or 1 and 1/8 ounce sport loads. So you've seen some of the calibers, which are realistically, they're just props in this play. Let me introduce you to the players. Let's start with a long gun, and this is something that most people are used to. AR-15, and this is about as run-of-the-mill as it gets. The lower is by Anderson, the upper is by Palmetto State Armory, and this is what most people consider a fairly accessible, fairly inexpensive build. It maybe looks a little bit fancy to the untrained eye because of this skeletonized front barrel shroud, and then the pencil barrel, it makes it look kind of tactical, but it's really more for practical purposes. That makes it really lightweight, easy to carry around the range. When you got it in the sling, makes it a lot less uncomfortable to tote around all day. Even if you don't have it in a sling, it's not going to weigh you down or make you feel fatigued too fast on the range. And we've been out here for a couple of hours already. We're going to be out here for a couple more hours. The last thing you want to do is weigh yourself down unnecessarily. So a build like this is really very practical, actually. But the furniture, pretty typical furniture by Magpul. Same with the front and rear sights by Magpul. And then a 6-hour Romeo 5 reticle up on top for easy and fast sighting in. With the A2 flash hider, pretty typical stuff. It's kind of an easy fallback for most AR builds. Otherwise, not too fancy. Speaking of AR, it's such a versatile platform. That's why it's so popular. For example, right here, I've got an AR that's chambered in 7.62 by 39. Talked about it before with the calibers we're going to shoot today. And technically, not a rifle. This is technically a pistol, and this is technically not a stock. It is a forearm brace. You can tell because there's a little Velcro right there. If I needed to operate this with one hand, I could separate this and I could use that strap right there to hold out onto my forearm and much more comfortably operate this firearm with one hand. But let me show you a couple of cool features of this. The entire build is by Radical Firearms. The upper, the lower, the muzzle brake is their own signature muzzle brake. See, it's got a little bit of back porting right there. Pretty cool design all around. The firearm is safe. Just wanted to show you really fast that it's an ambidextrous safety, which means if I'm shooting lefty, I can operate this with my left thumb, or if I'm more comfortable using my index finger, my trigger finger, I can operate the safety from there and then continue to fire, which kind of a neat feature, not something you see all the time on an AR. We've got it here. So you can have a lot of fun putting what is normally considered an AK-47 round through this AR. So here's a typical AR-15 magazine. You know, it's right there. There's the 5.56 loaded up, and it has to have a bit of curvature to it to accommodate the size and shape of the cartridge. But here's from the Radical Firearms AR that we showed before that's chambered in 7.62 by 39. Because of the shape and size of this cartridge, it has more of that banana shape that we're used to from the AK-47. Even when it's built on an AR platform, you really kind of can't get away from that curve because of the shape of the cartridge. Okay, so we've gone over the flexibility of the AR platform, showed you the AR long gun that we're using, showed you the AR-based 7.62 by 39 pistol that we're using. Here's an AR-based pistol that's chambered in 5.56. So kind of a combination of the last two that we looked over. This one has the Anderson lower, typical AR with the Magpul furniture again. Also, not super expensive to build in terms of the furniture and some of the accessories. With a forearm brace on the back, the blade, it's a very popular design. Again, not a stock because it is a pistol, but you need to have something back here to keep from having a bare tube. Taiwanese service style piston-driven upper, and you can see kind of through the ports right there, see a little bit of that build hiding just behind the upper, just on top of the barrel right there. And without Picatinny rails along the front, we have some other accessory options, essentially some T-nuts right there to be able to mount your optic directly into that upper over the front furniture. So interesting right there, as well as the A2 flash suppressor on the front. Not super fancy, but it is super fun. Again, the Romeo 5 sight up on top, placed on this firearm as well. This one is really light, with a really well balanced in my opinion, and I think we're going to see that as we start putting some bullets downrange. Showed you a couple of AR pistols, showed you an AR long gun, but here's kind of the best of both worlds. This is the Kel-Tec RDB, and it's what's called a bullpup. You'll notice that from the trigger and that grip, the pistol grip, down, it's a fairly short firearm. In fact, so short you would consider that it's probably a pistol. But the barrel itself works its way all the way back here with the bolt carrier group, magazine, and then the ejection port all rear of the handle. So you've got a full 16-inch barrel that still technically classifies this as a rifle. And with all that entails, right, all of the ballistic characteristics, right, the accuracy you would expect from a longer barrel, everything's still preserved, but then a really short firearm for really easy cornering. And you notice right there, if you're not really careful, really easy mishaps. You got to really be cautious, mind your hands and your fingers as you're operating a long gun, so to speak, that's in a bullpup form factor. Instead of showing you that the chamber is clear, I'm just going to show you the chamber flag. The manual of arms of this particular firearm, a little more complicated, as most bullpups are, but there's a lot about it to like. Most of the controls, now I don't have the ambidextrous charging handle in place here, but it can be mounted ambidextrously. And then same with the safety. Safety is, I've got a thumb switch there, and if I were operating lefty, thumb switch there. And in the case of the RDB and most bullpups, the ejection port is back here and drops those casings straight down. So switching to lefty is as simple as just moving around and operating with my left hand. You might think that this is the Remington 870. You can be forgiven for making that mistake. This is actually the Hawk 982 Remington 870 clone, and really inexpensive pump action 12 gauge shotgun. It's so close to the Remington 870 that in fact this tube mag extension was originally designed for the Remington 870. Most of the accessories are perfectly compatible with this Chinese made clone of the Remington 870. A couple of value adds, the rear ring sight right there, which is kind of a little more tactical. And then butt pad right here to kind of help ease the blow of a particularly heavy 12 gauge load. Everything else operates exactly as you'd expect from the Remington 870. Our quick release right there, our safety. So it's the Remington 870 operation that you know and love, but at a much better price. Build quality, maybe a little close to the price that you pay, but as far as a day out at the range and plinking with whatever 12 gauge loads you want to bring, the operation is going to be very familiar and it's a lot of fun. This is a transformer. Real time, you're going to hear this guy transform. Bop, 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 bop. And pop this guy open. Voila! We have the Kel-Tec Sub 2K pistol caliber carbine. This is chambered in 9mm. You notice it's a really comfortable to hold, and this actually does have a stock because it is legally, technically, a long gun. But it folds up for easier transportation, and however you need to stow it, it's done much more easily when it's folded into that closed position. But it accepts Glock magazines down here, so any capacity Glock magazine you can throw at it, or typically put into your Glock 19, is going to fit right here with the Kel-Tec Sub 2K. Threaded barrel, really good host for a suppressor. Got the primary arms red dot sight over the front. It's just a really comfortable 9mm to plink with at the range because of the form factor and because of the composite building. It makes it a really lightweight pistol caliber carbine. Maybe one more thing to mention here is that the charging handle is all the way farther back. You may have wondered where that was by looking up in this area. There's not much business here but the trigger, and then the transform release, or the barrel release right there to start transforming it back. But rear of that handle, you've got the charging handle as well as a couple of points to sling the firearm from. We've got some paracord here to make sure that as we transform back into this position, we don't have any issues with, he says as he totally has issues. We don't have any issues with this charging handle accidentally pulling forward and dropping into that red dot sight. But this is going to be one of the firearms that we put some 9mm through. Okay, so we saw the Kel-Tec Sub 2K. Let me show you one of our pistols. Right here, I'm going to make this firearm safe. We've actually got a load in that magazine right there, and just clear that out of the chamber for you. But this is the CZ P07, and what's kind of interesting about the CZ P07, it can operate in double action, and you actually have a physical hammer to be able to interact with. Single action, after you fired that first shot, and you simply press the trigger and the hammer drops. Really cool firearm, really comfortable. A little bit small for my grip. We haven't put in the grip expansion kit at all. Not a terrible concealed carry option from what I understand. Those who are comfortable carrying the P10 would be comfortable carrying the P07. And as I understand it, a lot of the accessories are intercompatible between those two systems. This lever right here is set to decocking mode. So I'm gonna use my index finger here so you can see clearly what I'm doing. I'm just gonna go to half cocked right there. So when I then pull back on the trigger, again, it's got to go all the way back for that nice long initial double action trigger pull before it drops again. Why would somebody go for the P07 when they could go for the P10, the P10C, or maybe the Glock 19? The reason that we've come up with, at least in our circle of friends, is that with that exposed hammer, you've got a little bit more of an opportunity to use your proprioception, your sense of touch, right? To be able to feel if and when there's any kind of trigger pull, because that hammer will start to come back. So if you get a trigger snag on the way into your holster, as you train yourself to leave your thumb over the top of that hammer, when you get a really good retention into the holster, you'll know whether or not that hammer has come back at all because your thumb has been over it, kind of gauging between the tip of your thumb and the belly of the thumb pad right there. You'll know if there's been any movement at all. We've been talking the whole time about how AR is such a flexible platform, and here we are finally with that 6.5 Grendel. You can see it right here on the bolt carrier. It says 6.5 Grendel marked right there. And while you're looking at that, why don't I go ahead and make this safe? Nothing in the chamber there. Anderson lower, Palmetto State upper, and then all of the furniture by Magpul, so grip, stock, bipod, 4 to 16x mil dot reticle scope. This is going to make it a lot more comfortable for us to shoot a little farther down range in the sort of 150 to 200 yard range. Also in pistols, we've got the Taurus TX22. And what's kind of cool about this, it's a striker fire, auto-loading, 22 long rifle pistol. Holds 16 rounds in a single stack. Well, it looks like kind of a staggered stack, actually. It is technically a single stack because it goes directly over the center of this magazine. Well-contoured handle. Looks a little bit almost like something like from Walther or from H&K. Really comfortable in my hand. And obviously, we're going to be able to plink with this for a while because it's 22 long rifle. So not going to have too much fatigue, I don't expect, in using this pistol. But anytime you're at the range and you've got a lot of targets to shoot at, you want to go through a lot of rounds, plink a lot of rounds, get a lot of trigger pulls in and have a little bit more fun, a little longer, 22 long rifle is the business. So this is part of what we're going to be shooting 22 long rifle through. Additionally, there's a conversion kit for the AR. You see right here, it's that full-size 5.56 shape magazine. We've got 22 long rifle loaded into it with a conversion kit for the bolt carrier group, so we can put that through the AR-15. Let me show you real fast. Pull this guy out of the magazine and grab this 223, or grab the 5.56. You notice when I call it 223 Remington, this starts to make sense. You look at that projectile, the bullet, and it's nearly the exact same diameter, 223 versus 22. Our barrel is ready to rock and roll with 22 long rifle. I mean, if you want to call 22 long rifle rock and roll. But we can get a lot more plinking and a lot more plinking for the dollar out of this. So let's go load up the AR-15 and then try out that Taurus TX22. All right, guys, so you may be wondering, Seth, you do cryptocurrency and mining content. What are you doing at an outdoor range with so many guns? Well, sometimes mining equipment doesn't work the way you want it to. Sometimes it just flat out fails. And when that happens, it's good for one thing only: bullet fodder. So guys, you may remember, I've got the XL Van 1300 watt PSU. You warned me. You did. I can't say you didn't warn me. You guys did. You said, Seth, don't bother putting that into that server motherboard. I tried it. Guess what? It fired up all of 3 times. Now it's dead. And I'm outside of warranty, or the return period. So guess what this gets? That's right, a bullet. What's this? Seasonic Focus Gold. This one failed, so bullet. Celeron, how often do they go bad? Not that often, but when they do, bullet. We're gonna set a hash board here, close range for our 22 pistol, and then maybe for some 9mm shots. And with 22, if we're sighted in, I think we're gonna try to hit each individual ASIC right there. You notice we got a power short right there, a little burnout. So maybe we can put a bullet through that burnout at 22. But if we get really dead-eyed, really zeroed in, we may be able to put a 22 through each one of these ASIC chips right here. Of course, we could experience PCB failure at that point, but with the heat sink in place, I don't think we will. I think it's got enough integrity. We're gonna keep this thing intact. That's my hypothesis for 22 long rifle. We're gonna set that bad boy up right there, and it will think about its life choices. All right, moving down range, we have over here our tactical targets that we already used for a bit of some draw exercises, some shoot and move, some move and shoot. You know the drill. I hope you'll pardon me for not inviting you to sit down. Similarly, we've got half of the heat sink taken off. You see where we had a short right there. I don't think we're gonna be able to get a really good sight picture on that. So at this point, we're just gonna set this guy so we can see some of the hash boards. Maybe from a distance we'll be able to get this dead center. And my prediction is that as we shoot with this, with the 5.56, the 7.62 by 39, we're gonna be able to cut this guy in half. Maybe 2 shots with one of the larger calibers, and we'll break this guy right in half. That's my hypothesis. I think this is actually removed from an old truck. Backseat of an old truck? No, it's a hide-a-bed. No, it's a lazy boy. I mean, whatever it is, it's Swiss cheese now. XL van, your time has come. And we're just gonna leave the cables in place because that's gonna give us a handle to tote this thing out of here later on. I'm gonna leave it fan forward so that we have a really good bullseye right there. I predict 1 shot with 6.5 Grendel, and we're gonna notice that everything this side of the internals is exploded. And I don't know, I think we might get full penetration, but there are a couple of capacitors and some other things kind of wound up right here. We've got some heat sinks, and then we've got the main PCB on the other side. But we're gonna have total destruction on this side, and I think it's gonna take us, I predict, 4 shots with 6.5 Grendel to make it all the way through. I think we have a challenger on my bet. Somebody's telling me it's gonna take 1 shot with the 6.5 Grendel to utterly destroy this. So here's my thought. If it takes 1 shot with 6.5 Grendel, it should take 1 shot with 7.62 by 39. So let's get a little closer and let's use that 7.62 by 39 AR pistol. Let's get a little more intimate with this one. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna bore you with the rest of the details. I'm gonna start sprinkling some hash boards all the way clear out to our 150, maybe 200 yard mark, where we'll take some pot shots with the big guns.
Swing some. Watch it now.
We're gonna go point blank range, or as close as I'm comfortable with this load in the 12 gauge. And it's gonna saw the bare hash board in half. Just PCB should cut it in half. The one that still has a heatsink attached to it is gonna have a lot of kinetic energy moving backwards, but this particular load, I'm not too worried about at this range. Still, don't try this at home. Keep a beat on it. All right guys, so take a look at this. Blew a tidy hole through it all the way to the back. Got the smiley face again. We're not done. We're gonna move a little closer. Don't try this at home. The close up, rolling?
Yep.
All right guys, check that out. Bent. Ooh, concave. There's the impact point. Yikes! But you know what we need? We need some double-aught buck. We're ready. Whew. This is the PSU. Take another one to the PSU. 5.56 pistol. I've got a mag here loaded with 30 rounds of Federal 55 grain FMJ. We're gonna try to plank the old 1300 watt XL band power supply and get it around in the chamber. Let's have some fun. Bullseye! checking out the hashboard over here. We've gone to the 5.56, we've gone to the 7.62 by 39. What we haven't used yet is the 6.5 Grendel. Let's put a 6.5 Grendel through a hashboard. I've got the CZ P07 on my side so we can advance later on and finish off any hashboards that we don't get with the 6.5 Grendel here or with the RDB, the Keltec RDB I have slung over my back. So we're gonna be shooting 6.5 Grendel first. With this optic, we should be able to get about 150 yards out where I've got a hashboard and a PSU placed, roughly. Also a steel target. So I'm gonna zero in on that steel target. I'm gonna try to finish off that PSU out here with the 6.5 Grendel. Whatever we don't get with this, we're gonna clean up with the RDB and with 9mm. Yeah. Woo! All right. Yeah. Woo! All right. Feeling good about that. Gonna go and try to get that PSU with the hashboard next to it. That was a hit, yeah. So we can go try to inspect the damage, I guess. 6.5 Grendel is a powerful round, but let's see exactly how powerful. So we got the Keltec Sub 2K, and we haven't shot a whole lot of 9mm at these hashboards yet. I got 4 of them lined up right there. 2 of them with the heat sinks facing us, and the other 2 with the ASIC chips facing us. Ooh, those are impressive holes in the heatsink. So the Keltec Sub 2K, it's a lot of fun to shoot, but since we're out here using Glock mags anyway, Diane Feinstein, if you happen to be watching, what we call this here, the Freedom Gun, and this is a standard capacity magazine. Thank you, Polymer 80. That's the smell of freedom. We didn't use the Keltec RDB, this bullpup 5.56, and we got a PSU there that I just tagged once with that 7.62 by 39. It was an okay, well-placed hit, center. I mean, I could show it to you if you want. You could trust me, it was bullseye. And I'd kind of like to do a little more damage. So, let's have some fun. Oh, and we got safety on, and I flinched, and I leaned into it. Alrighty, got rid of the jam. I'm gonna shoot through that couch because I have some visual idea of where that PSU is. So I'm gonna shoot through that couch to finish that PSU off. Jam number 2 on the Keltec RDB. Let's see what happens now. think that was my last round. Yep, we're out. Okay, let's go inspect that PSU. There it is. Woo! Massive cable. There we go. Very first shot went through here. Got a couple more through that grate. Then it flipped around. Then we shot it from every direction. Almost. Yep, almost every side we got a shot in. Or a shot out. You know what though? I think we can do more. Oh, oh my gosh. What? Dude. Pack your bags, PSU. You're done. It's the final countdown. Oh, sweet. So I kind of put some markings on this heatsink, hoping that it would give some contrast from far away. Barely gives any, but I had some that's pretty close to a bullseye for about how far away we were. I'm pretty happy with that. Dang, look at how strong PCB is, guys. Look at those multiple layers. You see a little bit of copper under there. One thing that's kind of cool about this particular hash board, I actually do admire the way they made it, is that there's this really great heat dispersion layer underneath of copper that interfaces with the aluminum heatsink on top. But one shot knocked everything over. Let's see, on the PSU, I think I had it sideways. Yeah, it was sideways to help reinforce it. So the bullet went in, we're kind of at an angle. So the bullet went in at an angle, but going through the hash board and then going into here, you can hear little pieces of whatever that blew into it. Didn't quite make it to the other side, but oh, that smells nasty. Probably not healthy to breathe in. Some layers of PCB I can sense there. The fan is still spinning. I think we need to fix that. Now is probably the best time for me to just mention that we're out in BLM land. That means if you're not familiar with shooting at a range like this is the kind of range where we can bring in things like this, but we're obligated to take out what we brought in. I can't just leave this junk here. Even though somebody else did it, that's them, that's on them. For me, if I brought this in, I gotta pack it right back out with me. Even if I shot it all up to pieces and it's all sharp and pokey on the edges, I've gotta pick it up, I've gotta take it out. So that's what we're gonna do after I blow this all to pieces. I've got some help on this one. Expect to hear a lot of bullets flying at this PSU. There you have it, man. I think, whew, this is the effective range of 9mm. Realistically, I mean, any kind of a handgun round or self-defense round, we're kind of within that effective range of only being about 15 yards away or whatever, or less. The size holes this is blowing into the PCB, shooting it from the same side, it's as big or bigger than that 6.5 Grendel. Even that 6.5 Grendel has a lot of energy traveling all the way to here from where we were set up before. I mean, that 9mm, it maintained a lot of energy from this near point blank range. Shows you how dangerous that really is. As promised, clean up. Everybody do their part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're missing a couple, but we got a lot of them. They shook off right here upon impact. So that one's cut in half. Nice. Hey, and there's the other half of it. Oh, sweet. Boop. Pew. Little capacitor over here. Don't mind if I do. Capacitor over there. Alrighty, I'm gonna tote these pieces back over to a box that we brought just for cleanup because we knew there'd be a lot of mess from this e-waste. Again, This is e-waste. Typically, would you get rid of anything that's e-waste in this fashion? No. We're gonna bring all these pieces back over to some kind of certified e-waste facility. Though I kind of think I should get some video to see the expression on their face when I haul this in to Best Buy. I don't know if they'll take it. We'll see. And there you have it. Almost as fast as it came, the weekend went. What a blast. Had so much fun out at the range. I wanted to leave some parting thoughts for this video. Again, it's a little outside what I normally publish, but I want you to see I'm still working on projects back at home mining, still trying to find the best possible place to discard of all the trash. I want you to see that I successfully brought home all of the hash boards, all of the PSUs, anything, and then of course all of our trash, boxes of ammo, etc., all of the containers for ammo. None of that was left on BLM land. The Bureau of Land Management in the United States offers citizens of this country huge value just for living here. All we have to do is live here, and we have access to beautiful, pristine lands, but they're only as clean as we leave them, right? So I went out of my way to make sure that all of that was picked up. I wanted you to see that I could follow up here at my own home and prove to you that I brought stuff home. I didn't leave it out there like junk. A couple of takeaways. First off, when you've got an ASIC hash board that you absolutely have to destroy, there's nothing quite like getting up close and personal with 9mm. And then 5.56, of course, was a lot of fun to just keep on plinking with. Anyway, guys, enjoy an additional couple of minutes of destructive footage. We had the action camera set up next to some of the initial hash boards where we zeroed in that 22 long rifle adapter bolt carrier group on one of the AR-15 builds. And then also shot some 9mm at it, as well as a full box of that sport load birdshot. So enjoy, guys. Thanks so much for watching to this point in the video, though. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the bell icon so you're notified when new videos come out. In case I don't see you again at the end of this video, you're the reason I make this media. I love your face. I'll see you in the next one. Dang. Crap.